Hi, my name is Corey, and I play Goshin, the pit fighting monk. My good nature leads me to explore most of the kingdom, and recently has gotten me into a bit of trouble. This is a story about how I'm making my way east to get away from the people who captured me, and this is the day before I met the group.
So while traveling east, you've been getting through forests, plains. It's been tiring. I mean, it's been about a month plus of travel with, rests here and there. And I'm assuming you're still trying to lay low to some degree, trying to at least not draw too much attention to yourself, correct?
Oh yeah, I actually even a little ashamed of it, but I stole like a hooded cloak so I could keep it wrapped around me.
Okay. The way the empire is after the shattering, which mainly took place in the west of the empire, is a series of islands and archipelagos. There's still some holdouts for the old ways. Slavery, underground pit fighting, using the other races and their natural abilities to buff up or gain amusement from. The East is a lot different. They've kind of embraced each other. It's almost a safe haven for people of other races. The city of Ironclad is kind of like the shining example of what the Empire could be, or should have been back before the Shattering War and the war between the dragons and the mages. So, traveling from west to east is an ordeal. It's when you get to the end of one island, sometimes depending on how the sea level was, it could be sheer cliffs down to ocean. There's some people have made bridges over time. It all depends on how much power fluctuated through there. So the further east you get, the more rolling terrain there is, more earth. So you would have been traveling for probably a month and a half, laying low, scavenging and surviving as best you can. Ironclad is basically on the horizon. It's massive walls. The walls are about 4 to 5 stories tall. I mean, this is an imposing structure because it was like the final holdout against the dragons. Now, would you kind of stick to yourself? Or would you try and find like traveling groups and just like mesh in behind them and try and blend in a bit?
Yeah, if there were like maybe refugees from a lost village or just a large band traveling, I'd probably try to blend in with them as best as I could.
Okay. You've been hearing rumors here and there about just some disappearances happening from some villages. It seems that this is a normal occurrence out west. In the east, it's not so much. So that's why some people are getting a little more concerned about it. But you've been hearing more and more rumors that the closer people are getting to Ironclad, they've been running into bandit holdings or groups of individuals, and people have somewhat gone missing on occasion.
Okay. Yeah, so I would definitely keep that information in mind, but it does kind of pique my interest a little bit. So I think as I was traveling, I would do as best I could to keep my ears open for any more specific information. See if there's somewhere like specific people are disappearing from, or if it's just like a generalized sort of all over.
It's pretty much a generalized Oliver. From what you can gather, is once it happens someplace within like a mile or 2 miles, like a radius from that point, it happens again, like a few days later. Like no one's really, but this always happens to be near main roads.
Okay.
Now, while you were, enslaved, did they brand you? Or was there some kind of markings they gave you to mark that you were pretty much property?
Yeah, on the upper part of my left arm, there's a brand of the old empire.
Okay. So I'm guessing that's something that you kind of keep hidden as best as possible.
Yeah, with the cloak if I can. Also, I have like scrap piece of cloth wrapped around it.
Now you've been traveling with this current, not so much refugee, but more so. I think that they're just. I mean, while it has been about 2 centuries since the shattering, people are still, moving, trying to find a better way of life. And the bigger and bigger Ironclad gets, the more people it draws to it. Now there are definitely other cities up and down the coast, the East Coast, that are picking up from Ironclad's example. A lot of them have joined what's called the Council, trying to get assistance from them and, give back as best they can. So this group is probably mainly, merchants, a few refugees here and there. But there are a few people who have been, traveling west to east quite a bit. You're sticking to yourself, man. Would you kind of strike up any conversations with anybody?
Um, Maybe trying to get like sort of a general idea of what to expect when I get in there, because I'm not even from this kingdom originally, so all of this is kind of new to me. And then these two halves of the empire are so vastly different. So like some maybe non-imposing peasants or something of that nature, just to sort of get an idea of what to expect from the guards and what sort of reception I might have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is definitely like an elderly couple that kind of keeps themselves to the back of the group on one side, and there's a few others here and there that they engage when they need to. They contribute as best they can, but at night is when dinner is being passed around. They kind of keep to themselves a little bit. So that if you can by all means talk to them if you want to look for somebody else.
Oh yeah, for sure. That sounds perfect. I guess at night when we're eating, I would kind of sort of take a seat close to the elderly couple, not obvious, not like right next to them, but close enough that I could speak to them.
Okay.
And try to strike up a conversation. Say something like, "Evening.
Ooh, hello there, dear.
We've been on the road for quite some time."
We have been with this particular caravan for probably... And she's going to look over to her husband. 2 months, darling. Oh, 2 months. It seems like so much longer.
I've only been with him for a month. I understand what you mean. Are you guys from these parts originally?
No, we're from the southwest area. We have family that traveled out east about 2-3 years ago, so we're hoping to catch back up with them.
Of course. Do you know anything of the city? I'm quite curious. I'm not actually from this kingdom myself. This is all brand new to me.
You can kind of see that when you mention that, the husband is going to perk up a little bit. It's not often we find people from outside of the empire. Whereabouts did you come from?
I come from a kingdom to the south.
He's just kind of just nod his head. The accent threw me slightly.
Apologies.
Oh, no, by all means. It's refreshing to some degree. Doesn't have that twang of the empire.
Smile a little bit.
The woman is going to pipe back up again. It's... all we know, really, is from the letters from our families. It's good, at least some areas. We ourselves are traveling to Ironclad. Are you going in the same direction?
I am, actually. Ironclad, seems like a good place to stop.
It's definitely the biggest on the coast that we're aware of.
So I've heard.
And the husband's going to speak back up. Sorry, not much more help than that. Our families don't write often. But when they do, they don't often talk about the gods. But can only assume that every city has its pros and its cons.
Of course.
Were you starting back in the West? What brought you there?
Business, more so. It's just where I happened to enter from my kingdom. I didn't really know the difference between East and West, so I started with the West. I've always found islands very pretty. Lying through my teeth.
Go ahead and roll a deception for me.
13.
13? Okay, so I would say that it probably after you've been traveling for a while, so you've kind of gotten used to not saying the best way that you started off with all of this.
Yeah.
Over the past, I'd say, week or two, this caravan of group has kind of, caught up a few extra people here and there. Merchants hoping to travel with larger groups, means that they might not get picked off by smaller bandit parties. So I'd say there's probably maybe about 20, 24 individuals here. Maybe about a quarter of them are merchants, so you kind of see the carts and everything.
Sure.
The husband's going to look around. We've been growing in size for quite some time now.
I've noticed this as well, even in my short time with the caravan. Is this a regular occurrence? Do you know?
It's encouraged, I would say, from rumors, especially lately. There's been lots of rumors about just disappearing groups, whether it's individuals. Hard to tell, but I know mainly if you're heading east, people will join with you.
I see. Disappearances, huh? In that case, I suppose it is wise to, strengthen numbers.
Both of them are just going to nod their heads quite a bit.
What do you do for a living?
Oh, I was a carpenter by trade.
Very nice.
Unfortunately, not much I can offer to this caravan except cooking duties on occasion. And that his wife is just going to pat him on the shoulder. On occasion, dear. Yes.
And smile and laugh a little bit. Oh, I don't suppose that you would be interested in a game of cards.
The old man's definitely going to perk up to this. I'm afraid, dearie, that my eyesight isn't quite what it used to be. Bernard's, on the other hand, and the husband's just, you can see that he's just got a smile on his face. And with that, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Oh, geez.
Wow. Okay. There's going to be, at the mention of cards, you're going to hear some shuffling. The husband's kind of just going to turn and he's going to motion to a few other guys in the background. And just the general hand motion, come on over. The guy's going to bring a lantern because where you guys are, you're a little bit further away from the fire. It's a little, darker, so you're going to get one or two lanterns coming over.
Sure.
And it's a few other people that you have seen in the camp, in the caravan for a little while lately, but everyone's excited about a game of cards.
Awesome.
Do you happen to carry a set of cards on you?
Yeah, I actually picked them up in the pit.
Okay. So go ahead. And so now that people are starting to come over and you're starting to make introductions to a few people, go ahead and describe yourself and what your outfit is and that kind of thing.
So I'm wearing a plain of just a set of very plain sort of clothes that weren't actually mine. When I escaped from the pit, I was pretty much naked because I had feigned my own death in a ploy with a merchant that I knew from my past to get out. So as soon as I came to, he kind of gave me a pair of pants and a shirt. And while I was traveling, I stole a dark hooded cloak. Build-wise, I'm about 5'10", and I don't weigh very much, 125 pounds, 130 pounds, sort of small frame and build.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't have the hood on, you can see my skin is quite pale. My eyes are like a silvery blue, and my hair kind of wisps around my head like it's being blown by a breeze constantly, which is why I kind of keep the hood pulled tight as best I can.
So even right now, you've got everything pulled tight around you?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to be shuffling these cards. Do you shuffle with any kind of flourish because you can put a little more air in the cards?
I had an arc it into the other hand, things like that. Make cards kind of float and reappear, that sort of thing.
For shits and giggles, just because you've been having amazing rolls tonight so far,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check.
Okay. 15.
So 15. I would say that this caravan has been a little dreary. It's more just, everyone's marching, they're stopping, they're eating. We got a few hunters that go and get some food, what they can. Everyone kind of pulls their share. And there's been a few games of cards here or there, but this is the first night anyone's kind of almost given a little bit of a show. So whether or not you meant to or not, but you're picking up a little bit of attention.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think my character would have sort of mixed feelings. On one hand, he likes making people happy. So it's nice that everyone's kind of in a good mood and things like that. And on the other hand, he's like, oh no, what if?
Shit.
Yeah. So I think he kind of after like one more flourish, kind of stops with that and starts to deal.
Now you're a traveling caravan, so not many people will have any coin for like betting. So
Sure.
everyone's kind of just going to, a few copper pieces here or there, not much. You can see that at one point in time, the old man puts out 5 copper. His wife hits him on the back of the head, like a nice resonating slap. And he pulls 3 copper back, so he just leaves 2 out there. And this goes on throughout the night. Little coins here or there. Everyone's enjoying themselves, having a little bit of fun. Merchant at one point actually brings over just like a small bottle of ale.
Fantastic.
And just pours it. This is the first time people have been having a good time on this caravan. Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand. Let's see how well you've been playing this evening.
Sure. 16.
Oh, very nice. So you have definitely you've got some. You're probably up a good, I don't know, 8 copper more than where you were at the beginning of the night. Not much, but I mean,
Sure.
What's going on? And everyone's been having a few drinks here or there, so it's definitely exciting for the evening. 1 or 2 of the guys that came over earlier, that one of them brought the lantern. You can see he maybe had a little too much of the ale the merchant brought, or possibly had his own little stash. He's gonna look over at you, a little bit of like rocking back and forth. What did you say your name was again?
My name is Darius. Again, totally lying.
I'll say go ahead and roll with advantage. Perform deception check.
Okay, cool. 17.
Oh yeah. Darius. Funny accent you have there.
Mm-hmm.
Said you were from a southern kingdom.
That's right. I come from the kingdom to the south. Southern kingdom, yes.
Okay, he's just gonna spit off to the side. What you got hiding under that hood of yours? You.
Bald head. Quite ashamed, actually.
Gonna see the old woman's gonna perk up a bit. Oh, male pattern baldness runs in Bernard's side of the family as well. Oh, poor son. And as she's off in her own little world talking, the drunken guy's gonna pick back up. Haven't seen your face around here before. Seen you. Yeah, but not your face. Baldness goes everywhere, I take it.
Generally, yes. I don't have much hair.
And see his friend next to her is going to nudge him. Oi! Keep it down. Don't draw too much attention to us.
It's interesting. I kind of raise an eyebrow under the hood at that.
And the drunk guy's just going to go, fine. He's just going to throw down the last few cards he has and toss out a couple of coin. I'm out. And you see he's just going to walk through the camp. You can see the fires are dying out a little bit. He's just going to go off, and after a while, you kind of lose sight of him. He gets enough out of the light. The friend that was with him, sorry about that. When he drinks, it's not the best.
No worries. No offense taken. Hopefully he gets a good night's sleep.
Hopefully. And his friend is just going to follow him back out. And you're left with, after about another 5 or 10 minutes, you can see people are kind of done with cards. It kind of got a nice little pile. A small, not bad. It's all copper. So you can buy you some ale in a tavern at some point in time.
Sure.
The guy's going to come around, one of the hunters from before. You can see he's just got like some straws in his hand. He's going to hold one out to you.
I'll pull the middle one.
You can kind of see that one is a bit longer than a couple of the other ones you kind of see around the camp. Last shift then?
Last shift?
And he's going to ignore the elderly couple. He's just going to nod at them and walk by, even though the older one, Bernard, is going to go for it. The guy's just going to walk by like, no, you're better off sleeping kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So those with the shortest straws are, going to start taking out first watch, putting out a few of the fires. They're going to keep them somewhat dim so that there's enough to see and walk around by, but the outskirts are going to be basically blackness. Where would Goshin set up his kind of camp area?
Probably a little bit away from the main group. Not like far enough to be vulnerable, but not like in the middle of everyone either.
Okay. You get some good sleep. You got some nice leaves under you. Being Air Genasi, you get like the ability to like hover a little bit, like once a day.
Yep.
Would you use that for kind of like an air mattress right now?
To a very low degree, I think. Just enough that I'm not on the hard ground, but hopefully not enough to be super noticeable.
Yeah, I've seen that if you have like a blanket over you, you can kind of
Yeah, exactly.
hide that to some degree. That would actually probably be quite comfortable.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, something like that for sure.
And we're gonna have those people at home thinking, "Oh, he can't do that. He's asleep." I say, "Screw you." Um, after a few hours, you're gonna hear it's gonna awaken you a little bit, just some rustling, and there's gonna be a hand on your shoulder. It's gonna nudge you, Damien. Your shift. You can kind of see, you can kind of hear. It sounds like the guy from the night before, the drunken one.
Oh, of course, friend. Get some rest. Can I like insight check him just to get a general idea of sort of his intentions a little bit? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is there any
Go ahead.
malice behind his words or just racism?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a insight check.
Okay, 16.
He is not the biggest fan of you. Hard to kind of pick up why. I wouldn't say racism because he hasn't really seen you.
Right.
Because you kind of keep your hood up, kind of keep everything kind of draw closed. I'm assuming that you even have like either gloves or wrappings on your hand.
Yeah, probably some cloth wrapping.
No one has really seen your pale blue skin. It's maybe like a few just by chance, and those who have probably seen it probably haven't said anything.
Gotcha.
Because Genasis are not known for being in the Empire, so you're definitely a foreigner to some degree.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see that this guy is kind of just gonna go off in the same direction where he came from or where he went to the night before, and it's Goshin's turn to kind of keep watch with. There's probably about 3 or 4 others that are rousing now and starting their kind of watch of the camp.
Sure.
Now it's when it kind of started, it's still nice and dark. But now that you've been up for probably about a good 30, 45 minutes, you can just see the sun coming up above the mountains off in the distance. And you hear it was a dry night the night before, but still, the dew from overnight. You can hear squishing footsteps, not from the camp, but from outside. And every so often you hear a slight rustle of leaves.
Is there like a tree or something nearby I can post my back up against to and try to listen a little bit harder?
Yeah, you guys happen to find a nice clearing. There's a few of these just like stopping points along main roads. But yeah, there's definitely a few trees off to the side that you can kind of put your back behind.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
23.
So yeah, you definitely, it's a little more noticeable now. You got multiple individuals. It's not quite the standard what you would hear for like deer or 4-legged creature. This seems very much 2 legs.
Okay. So at that, are any of the other people, because you said there are a few of us on watch right now, right?
Correct.
Is anyone else nearby?
Yeah, if you would have continued on your kind of perimeter of the camp, you would run into one of the hunters. So now he's still probably a few yards away, but he is walking in your direction.
Okay. I want to kind of like hurry over to him a little bit and flag him toward me so he'll meet me halfway.
What's up?
There are people outside of the camp. I'm not sure how many, but there are multiple, and they're coming our direction.
You can see he's one of the hunters that goes on to help feed the caravan. He's just gonna draw his bow. All right, I'm gonna go flag the others. Stay here and just see what you can hear. But we'll start rousing up the others. Hopefully not get too much of a drop if it is anything unfortunate.
Of course. I'll find myself somewhere to like hide real fast.
Okay.
And see if I can't stay a little out of sight while I keep an eye out.
You see 1 or 2 individuals. The sun's up, so it's coming through the treetops, the light, and you can kind of make out a few forms. Could you describe to me the branded tattoo they gave you on your upper arm?
I guess in this case, is there a symbol of the old empire?
The symbol of the old empire, what used to fly on their flags, was a kind of like a small rook, like from a chessboard, with a larger crown over top of it and a few stars at each point of the crown.
Yeah, I'd say this one it's sort of like the same thing, right? Like that same rook and the stars, but there are also smaller and different colored pawns that are set behind it
Okay.
and linked by a chain.
You see on these individuals, they're wearing like, leathers so they can move a bit quieter. But you see almost, embossed on the front that same symbol. The pawns behind the rook, chain bound to them, the crown over top. And you can only see right now two, but from the noises you heard earlier, it's still a few more than two. But they are definitely the same. But they're definitely the same group that you were enslaved with
Mm.
months before.
As I like watch them coming through the woods, I'm wrestling with myself. I'm thinking, they're probably here for me. They must have figured out that I'm still alive. But the other part of me is like, well, are they here for someone else? I don't want to let anything that happened to me happen to someone else. It was horrible. So I'm kind of wrestling with myself a little bit, and I think what Goshin ends up doing is he takes one of the darts he has and tosses it at one of the two men coming, and then he's just going to book it away from the camp, try to draw him off.
All right, Goshin, if you'd be ever so kind, please roll initiative.
I got a 7.
So you managed to throw this dart. So you will see those two individuals, and you threw a dart. Did you pick either in particular, or just any one you wanted to kind of throw it at?
I guess the one with the most imposing ranged weapon.
Yeah, you will see one of them does happen to have a bow on them. The other one does not.
Yeah, it would be that one then, the bow one.
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and roll to attack the scout.
21?
Yeah, that's going to hit the scout.
5.
That kind of gave your position a little bit. You're going to start to hear noises from the other end of the camp. It will seem like some of the other other bandits have come in from that side. The guy that you were talking to earlier, you can see that he is already preoccupied. He's going to go wake up some others, but they have gotten a little bit distracted, and he's already shooting arrows into all you can see is darkness on that side of the camp.
Sure.
So you're not even sure what he's hitting, if he's hitting anything. The one you threw the dart at, he's going to spin around and just kind of briefly make you out.
Sure then.
That dart you threw kind of got him in a nice muscly area in his arm. So as he's pulling his longbow back, get his arrow lined up with you, and he just fires, his arm's going to take a nice little twitch, and it's just going to go, you're going to see this thing as it passes by you. And it was just a hair's breadth away. And we were back to you.
So I didn't see what he was shooting at, but I saw my friend shooting at something, right?
Yes.
And it was on the opposite side of the camp. So now I'm thinking, I don't think I can lead him away. I think we're surrounded. So I'm going to give in to my semi-brash nature. I'm going to rush the archer.
Okay.
And I'm going to come down on him with both hands on my quarterstaff. And then I will actually spend key points to use flurry of blows as well.
Oh, fantastic. That dirty 20, that is going to hit.
6.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 unarmed strikes. 23.
Yeah, that's going to hit.
And since I am a open palm monk, I would like him to make a dexterity check, so I can hopefully knock him prone.
That's 13.
Just enough.
Just enough. So he's even though he's an archer, you can see he's kind of a bigger kind of guy. So while you go in for it, he's a little misleading. So he takes the blows. I mean, he's taking them hard. You've done quite a bit of damage to him. But he's going to keep standing.
All right. I got one more strike left.
That's going to hit.
And the first one didn't work, so I think this time I'd like him to make a strength check or get knocked 15 feet back.
Oh, that's going to save it.
Oh, man. He is solid.
Yeah, he's a big brute. You can kind of see that as you're punching him, he's kind of putting one of his feet behind him, trying to just like embrace the blows. Mm-hmm. And that last one, he's going to move back maybe about an inch, but he's going to stay where he is.
I kind of go... Oh, all right.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, your scout friend is definitely in the thick of combat over on the other side. He is taking a few blows here and there. The scout that you've been attacking, his friend is a little ways away. He's going to come rushing in right towards you. He's got this nice long scimitar. And it's a little weird. He rushes up to help his friend. He's got his scimitar drawn, and he just brings it up right to you. And that is going to hit. Oh, and that is, 7. So that's 7 damage as this scimitar comes up, and he's got you right in the ribs. So your cloak is going to take a brunt of the attack, and it's going to come right to your ribs and just a nice gash right across you.
Ooh. I kind of let out a sort of surprised yelp in pain and then steady myself again.
You can still hear noise and shouting from the other side of the camp. A voice that sounds familiar to you. You're going to hear the old lady from the night before just give a hollow scream, and it's just going to be cut off completely.
Oh, God.
Now, the scout you're with, this scout is going to throw his bow down to the ground and pull out a small short sword about the same style as the bandit. He's going to take his entire turn to do that. You're just at too close a range. You know that you're right up there. He can't really... The moment he pulls his bow back, you can get a hit in. So he's just going to toss his bow and kind of ready himself to take whatever you're about to throw at him. And it is your turn.
I'll use 1 key point
Okay.
to activate Patient Defense, so they'll have disadvantage to hit me next turn, and I will double hand bash this scout, hopefully in the stomach. I'm just going to poke at him real fast. In the solar plexus, basically.
Yeah, so you deliver this bow, and it's just, he had his weapon out, he was ready to come at you, and you just quickly got in there, got your end of your quarterstaff right into him, and he's just going to let out a breath of air and just fall forward to the ground. You can still hear in the background behind you, there's still, yelling, screaming, shots being fired off from bows. You can still hear metal on metal as sword clashes sword. And you're going to hear another familiar voice, the drunk from the night before. He's here somewhere. I know he is. So now this one bandit is left lonely since you just, took his friend out. But he's coming up. He's got his scimitar drawn. Right. You can see your own blood dripping off the edge of this thing. And he's just excited. He's coming at you again.
With disadvantage?
Yes, disadvantage. Did not matter.
Did not matter.
So again, he comes up, scimitar, and you can kind of see that your movement kind of gets in his way. He gets a little off kilter, but he still manages to get a nice blow against you. But it is not as bad as it was the first time around. But it's still a nice hit to your other side of the ribs. Again, you're going to hear this battle is sounding behind you. Again, the drunkard from the night before. I spoke with him last night. I saw him this morning. I woke the bastard up. Where is he? So you can kind of gather that there's a high chance he might be looking for you again.
Yeah.
Not the greatest thing in the world. You're going to hear a yell as the hunter you ran into before. You can't quite see, but you can you know the sound of a dead body hitting the ground. You've heard it plenty of times in the pit. The sound of a dead body smashing into blood-soaked dirt. That whatever is going on behind you is probably not very good.
So hearing this information, hear him the same voice and stuff talk about a specific hymn, I kind of piece together what's going on. I'm going to use my final key point to use Step of the Wind and disengage for free. And then I'll use my movement and my action to dash and just try to get as far away from this camp as possible.
So this bandit comes out his scimitar and you manage to just duck under it, do a roll back, and you're just running. Your cloak is in tatters, and it's kind of flapping behind you. You can kind of see that blood is coming right from. It's a little hard to breathe, even for you right now, because you've got right where your lungs would expand your chest. You've got these gashes on either side, but you manage to, in the little light there is this early morning, you manage to actually escape out of there quite quickly. The sound of battle is just going to die from your ears as you're running over tree limb, over log, jumping, trying to just get away. How long would you run for?
I would run until I couldn't hear the sounds of clanging in battle, and then I would run a little bit longer.
happy to announce our newest sponsor, Wormwood. Yes, you heard me right. That Wormwood. Their fantastic gaming accessories are without a doubt the best out there in the market, and we are very pleased to thank them for their continued support. And with their support, we can help you, our listener. At checkout, please use code DOORDICE for free domestic shipping. That's right. On their website, when you check out, go ahead and put in do or dice. That is one word for free domestic shipping. Thank you, and please give them a thanks for helping us out. I like dice. You like dice. You would not be listening to this podcast if dice were not somewhat involved in your life. One fantastic place to go to get dice is Dice Bard. They are one of our sponsors, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. Please use code DOORDICE at checkout for free expedited shipping on any of your orders. That is do or dice, one word, at checkout. And with that, you can get free expedited shipping. Thank you, and make sure to thank them. So it's definitely well into early morning by the time you finally stop. You can hear birds chirping. You can kind of hear a stream nearby. You're running pretty much in an easterly direction towards the rising sun. That's kind of the only notice you know of which way you were going, because it was pretty much the simplest way to go. If you're running towards the sun, if it's lighting behind you, the chance that they might not be able to see you through the light, but you can't hear it anymore. After about another half an hour of not hearing it, you stop. You got the birds chirping around you, a stream nearby. It hurts to breathe. You're not in the best shape currently.
I think I would go up to the stream and kind of use the water to start washing out the wounds gingerly, like wincing from the pain. And then maybe, since my cloak is in tatters anyway, probably use it to try to bind the wound a little.
Take the bottom off and try and keep something of the cloak still yet, or?
Yeah, as much of the hood as I can at least, but yeah, sort of like toward the bottom.
You left in a hurry. What do you have on you?
Honestly, probably just my walking stick, my staff, and my clothes. Maybe the blanket, but probably not much else.
I say you probably have a couple of coins from the night before, so you're not completely and utterly broke.
And my deck of cards, always in my back pocket.
Very nice. Now, your walking stick and your staff are the same thing, basically, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure about that. You're not in the best situation currently. It appears as if someone was searching for you, or if they didn't know it was you, they might have seen you as a high-profile target. Go ahead and roll me a history check.
16?
16. Okay, fantastic. The ones that were yelling, the drunk from the night before, they were with the caravan before you even joined it. They kind of kept to themselves, but you would notice that when they went on watch, there's certain times that they would be gone for hours and then come back. So these things are starting to pop up in your mind, remembering these little things that they could have been watching you. They could have been on the lookout for, people keeping to themselves, not entirely sure if it was you they were looking for, or if it was, people with abilities, people that kind of stuck out.
Gotcha.
Especially once he found out, the accent that you are from the Southern Kingdom. Chances of you just being a plain ordinary human are slim to none.
Right.
The main road to Ironclad is definitely well lost. You're not even on it, not even near it. All you know is that it lies to the east. Would you still make the trek to Ironclad?
Yeah, I think I would head in that direction. I don't really have anywhere else to go, but I think this time, seeing how it ended up traveling with the caravan the first time, I might try to stay more to myself, like in the woods, things like that. Scavenge for food.
From where you were in the caravan, you knew it was a good 5-6 day trek at a caravan pace from where you were to Ironclad. We'll kind of condense that time frame through a series of checks just to see how well you maintain your current position. Go ahead and roll me a survival check.
15.
15? Okay. So I'd say the first couple of days of the journey is you're definitely, as best you can tell, on track getting to Ironclad. Get maybe 1 or 2 days worth of rain. How are you gathering food? You're doing more just foraging since you don't really have a bladed weapon?
Yeah, I'm mostly looking for like berries, fruits, things like that.
Okay. So that you manage to keep on a decent track, keep on a nice path, and scavenge enough food to keep up with you. Definitely, some nights are a little hungrier than others. There's no real water sack you have,
Right.
so trying to keep near the stream when possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
when I can, keep near the stream and fill up like that. Or on the rainy nights, I don't know what the leaves and stuff of the trees look like, but if they were big enough, maybe use that to try to catch some of the rain to drink.
You're a little too far north for that kind of foliage,
Okay.
but you can definitely, with a few things around you, keep like a couple of leaves, make something. I'd say that you could definitely do that. Go ahead and roll me another survival check.
21.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, you are making good time for being somewhat completely lost. You have yet to come across another path, but the best thing to do would be to keep to the stream. Because eventually, towns, villages will set up near streams, near rivers, just for a permanent source of clean water. Ideally, clean water. After about another few days, it starts getting, a little hillier, a little rockier. The stream widens out to about a small river, a creek. Fish come up every so often, so that if you want to try to get fish or go fishing, that's definitely a possibility. But starting a fire might be a little harder.
Right, right. I think I think I would use one of my darts probably to try to
Okay.
skewer a fish maybe.
Go ahead and just roll me an attack with your dart.
Natural 20.
Oh, that is a beautiful thing when that happens. Yeah, no, you got this. You have your dart. You kind of took some of the wrappings from your cloak and bound it to the end of your quarterstaff, and you're pretty much out there about knee deep water, looking around, stabbing at the ground. You've managed to catch probably about 5 or 6 fish. You happen to be here in the right season for fish to be migrating, going up and down stream. Yeah, about five fish. So you have definitely enough food to keep you for a while if you can manage to cook it. And with your previous survival roll, you go all Boy Scout on this. You got the 2 sticks. You get a nice little.
Yep. Goshin's no stranger to being hungry or poor. So
Yeah, I would say that what money you probably had was probably the most you had in quite a while, from being a monk to surviving what you did in the pits.
yep. I didn't really have a whole lot. I sort of survived on the kindness of others for a long time and just what I could find.
Okay. Now it's getting late again. You got this delicious fish dinner. It starts to get to you. You did it again. You ran, and you're not quite sure how many of those people died because of you. And the thing is, you can't quite tell if it was you they were looking for. It's a high possibility, but you never met some of the other people in the caravan. It could have been anybody. But of course,
Yep, that's very true.
that's going to be the first thing in the back of your mind is they're dead because of me.
Yep. It's not a happy occasion, even though I have the fish. I'm kind of eating very solemnly, downtrodden in general, I'd say. Kind of chastising myself mentally.
It's taken a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely not. It's like, yay, I have fish. I can eat for probably a couple of days on this, but at what cost? The next day is going to go well again. It's a little more rainy, but go ahead and roll me another survival check. Let's see how you're doing out there.
10.
Not bad. The reason the river got so wide 2 days back is because you're coming up to where 2 smaller ones kind of intervene. So you have both. You're basically at a fork in the road. You have one going a little bit southeast and one going a little bit more northeast. You have pretty much just been walking towards the rising sun, so you're not even entirely sure. Well, walking with the rising sun beside the stream, beside the river. Other than that, direction's not quite so sure about where you're going. I would say with a 10, your best idea is that the one going northeast should hopefully take me to Ironclad, or at least nearby Ironclad. And you're going to keep going on this route. You knew at least from where you were 5 or 6 days should have gotten you to Ironclad. Even off the path, following the stream, you added in maybe an extra 3 days were possible. You're by this stream for another 4.
I think on that 4th day, I kind of stop and look around and just see woods, right?
Definitely just see woods. You're still by the stream. You're still got some of the cooked fish. It's almost like a jerky now because you've been trying to dry it out for so long. What would be running through your mind?
I think at the moment what would be running through my mind, excuse me, would be damn. And then from there, I think I don't know if I would continue to follow the stream. Maybe I would try to search the immediate area, see if I could find some sort of path, like any signs that anyone might come through here, hunters, game, something.
After a little bit of searching, you do happen to come across a small trail almost. It's still early morning. The past few days have been decent weather. But you do come across a path that you can't quite tell which direction would be the best way. There are tracks going in both directions, so it's kind of hard to tell. Which way would you think about going? I mean, one definitely continues going with the stream, the other one definitely goes off completely.
I think looking at it, he would run some ideas through his head. One being like, well, if it's going away from the stream, maybe that's toward the town. Although if it goes with the stream, on the down, the worst that could happen is I live off the land a little bit longer. And I think he'd pull out his deck of cards, and he would draw one. Even he goes left. Odd he goes right.
Oh, that's fantastic. Go ahead and roll me a flat D6.
Odd he goes right.
All right. So you're taking the path that kind of ventures off from the stream a little bit.
Okay.
After a few hours, you're still just eating your fish jerky. The path begins to widen a bit. It's still just like a small trail, but you start, through the tree, through the brush, you see a small signs of life, civilization. Before you, the biggest thing that you can tell is in the center of this small walled city is a massive tower, a massive keep. Kind of similar to the one on the banner, to the one that is branded into your arm, but taller, more majestic, I would say.
Sure.
In your mind, when you heard of Ironclad and the walls that were 4 or 5 stories tall, this is nothing like that. It's definitely a wall. It's not stone interwoven with magic. This is like a wooden barricade almost. Some stone here or there, but it's definitely a small city.
Gotcha.
Before the wall, you see these little hovels, almost like very small hovels. Chimneys kind of made out of dirt and mud. Houses kind of made out of lumber. Not a lot of rock here. There, most of the rock you can kind of see is in the walls of the city itself, and the rock actually looks gorgeous. It happens to be marble. You kind of see a sheen when the sun hits it just right. You kind of see above one side of it, there's a nice gate opening, and above it, in kind of almost like a script, bears the name East Runewood.
I kind of think to myself a little bit and take in the scene, admiring the marble and sort of the simplicity of it all. And I don't know much about East Runewood. I know it's not where I was going, but I also know I can't keep wandering forever. So I think I'll kind of watch a little bit and see if I see anyone going in, going out, and what that process looks like. And then if it looks not too threatening, I'll approach a gate myself.
Yeah, it is definitely it's early morning still. Definitely a lot of people coming in and out. People are waking up, leaving their little houses outside of the gate. From the looks of it, it seems like if you're more well-to-do to actually purchase property inside East Runewood, then you can get an actual house. But there are still people making a good life outside of the city. More of the hunters, the gatherers, farmlands. It's kind of hard to have a farm inside the city, of course. So they're going to opt to have a little bit of a nicer house outside and, farmland. All around the city, you just see the beginning of, plains, farmland, some people having cows, chickens, all those noises now that you're outside of the forest just flooded your ears instead of just a crackling brook for a few days. You see off to the side, the forest you were in kind of goes up and wraps around, and you just see the beginning of a mountain valley. Then on the other side of that, a different forest, kind of a bit darker greens, darker browns, not as welcoming as yours appeared. But where that valley is, there's a decent road. It seems like they took marble from, if there was a quarry nearby, they were taking that marble and actually made a proper road. And as you get a little closer to the gate, you see that inside the town is cobblestoned, made of marble. There's a few guards outside of the gate, but it seems that they're just letting people walk in and out. It's just mainly for show, if anything else. Getting in or out of the city seems to be that as though there's really no process.
Okay. Yeah. Upon observing that and sort of like stopping again to enjoy the simplicity, like the chickens and the cows, things like that. That remind me of the small towns outside of the monastery that I used to go to for supplies, for the elders and things. So I kind of bask in that for a moment, and then walk into the city, or attempt to.
Yeah, you're gonna walk by. You're gonna see this guy is clad in like some leather and some chainmail. And they've got like these small short swords by their side. They're just gonna nod, and one of them's gonna look at you. Boy, you seem a little worse for wear. Everything all right?
Ah, yes, I believe I'm fine now. I had a run-in with some less than upstanding sorts.
Oh dear. Do you need any assistance?
Perhaps just maybe directions to the nearest inn, somewhere to stay.
Yes. The nearest inn is the Blunted Tip. I can escort you there if you would like. But it's near the center of town.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. And you can see he's going to shoot his fellow guard kind of a look, and he's like, "I'll be back in a moment."
So are these two guards, are most of the people that I'm seeing here human?
Yeah, you can see human. A few every so often you'll see maybe a half elf. The ears definitely give it away. Maybe one or two full-blooded elves, but mainly it's human, half elf. Every so often you might see a gnome poke his head out of a window. That's about all. It's a little bit of a smaller kind of city.
Probably a bit more varied than what I saw in the west, though.
Oh, definitely. Even with just these few numbers, even with
Okay.
humans in this town being still predominant, it's still a lot more than you have seen in the west that were at least free.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that kind of encourages me a little bit, makes me feel a little bit better about being here. So I'll follow the guard.
Now, your cloak, is it still around you, still up above your head? Or I know you used some of it for bandages, some of it for just gear throughout your adventure.
Yeah, I imagine at a certain point it probably ended up looking kind of bad. So I think upon seeing like the gnomes and the elves and things like that, I might actually risk putting the hood down or like pulling
Okay.
it back. I mean,
As you do that, you can see the guard beside you as he's leading you towards this inn. He's gonna take a kind of a step back. Sorry, I don't mean the stairs. Don't often get your kind here. You are far distance from home.
indeed, I have traveled here from the kingdom to the south. I entered more on the west side of your empire, but I must say the east seems a bit more my speed.
He's gonna nod, and you can kind of see the gears in his head. Everything's gonna kind of click. Oh, I understand. Oh, and he's gonna be like, "I'm sorry." He's gonna hold his hand out. I'm Edward.
Yeah, I'll take his hand and shake it. My name is Goshin.
It's a pleasure, Goshin. Come on. I will get you to the inn and see if we can get you any assistance. And he's gonna notice that as your cloak moves, as you guys are walking, that you can kind of see the bandages that you kind of put together are bled through. And he's just gonna nod his head a bit more and just like hurry you along to some degree.
Sure. Yeah, I follow him.
After maybe about a 5 or so minute walk, you guys are going to stumble upon this very nice inn. It's about 2 stories. Second story has a balcony out front over top of like a porch. Directly across from it is almost a shell of a building. Now the inn takes up what they call lots. It takes up 2 lots. Most of the buildings you see around take up only a single lot. This shell, for lack of a better word, across from the inn, takes up 4 of their lots. You see the first floor, definitely the same marble, the same stone wraps around the foundation. The third floor is gone. You can see there's just a little bit of timber still near the chimney and the fireplace that traveled up each and every floor. Second floor is about half or so. The bottom floor is still more intact than the other ones, but you can kind of see that if imagining in your head that this was one solid building, the fire would have started up on the 3rd floor off to one side and just carried along. The interesting thing is outside of this building, and you haven't seen these guys around among the guards, but similar guards, they had the same kind of insignia of East Runewood. kind of just like a nice tree with some runic design on it as kind of their symbol. But you're going to see these individuals clad in a gray cloak, like head to foot. It's like the heavy wool. And pointing out is just a single large broadsword on each one. One's going to have a crossbow kind of strapped to his back. And these guys, there's going to be one at each corner of this building. And that's all you can see is one has a nice broadsword, the other has a crossbow. And every so often, you can see they're just looking at each other and pretty much going about their day, but they're standing guard at the corners of this building. But Edward is going to take you in. He's just going to do like, as he approaches, Edward's going to continue taking you to the inn. And as you guys get a bit closer, he's going to notice the guards at the shell and going to give them a small little salute. And you can kind of see they're going to do a little more relaxed kind of one. But still, he's showing them a higher form of respect. You can see, if anything, there may be of like a guard class above him, but he's going to rush you and get you inside this inn.
Yeah, for sure. I follow him. I let him rush me in.
William, I've got one for you. You can see behind the counter, behind the bar, is just a bigger man, kind of greasy black hair, kind of slicked back. Edward, what have you got for me today? Oh, and he's going to look right at you, just the blue skin. You can see his hand's going to drop the cloth. He was like, oh, welcome.
I sort of slightly bow respectfully. Thank you for allowing me in your establishment.
Of course. Edward, and Edward's going to kind of perk up. It's like, he was coming into town. He's been attacked out in the forest. I thought he could stay here. You could take care of him for a few days. He's going to look you up and down and look back at William. If you could help me out here. I know I owe you one, but I'll owe you two. And he'll kind of put like two, he'll grab the cloth that William dropped. Kind of see he's going to reach into his pocket and just cover something with the cloth and kind of put it back on the table. Just give him a room for a few nights, give him some food, and maybe one of those traveling clerics could take a look at him as a favor to the town. I'll see what I can do about that one. But of course, I'll put you in one of the rooms in the back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And
yeah, I'll follow him.
Before he leaves the back, he's going to hold his hand out. William Blunt.
My name is Goshin, and I shake his hand again.
It's a pleasure. And he's just going to nod at Edward and come back around dinner and I'll set you up with your friend. He's just going to nod and he's going to kind of take a second, look back at you, wait till you guys kind of disappear down the small hallway off to the side. And he's going to hear the front door of the inn kind of just shut. Traveler, I take it?
Yes, indeed. I've traveled quite far.
Well, we'll try and get you put back together a little bit. Seems you've had a bit of a rough time on the road.
It has been an adventure. I don't expect to stay for free. If there's anything I can do to help repay your kindness, anything at all.
I'll let you know. Let's get you back on your feet first, and we can talk about sweeping the floors maybe. If you cook, that's fantastic. He's going to look you up and down a little bit. Maybe he's going to chuckle to himself. We're getting into summer. Maybe a nice breeze every so often would be nice.
I sort of smile and nod. Of course.
I'll take you down this hallway, and the hallway runs the entire length of the inn. You guys pass a staircase going up to the level above you, and it's going to pass a few doors. A few of them have like little nails sticking out of like the molding off to the side, and you can kind of see different colored strings wrapped around them. They have some kind of system here gauging who's in, who's not, who's on their final day, who's already paid up. And at the very end of this hall, you can see the back door to the end. About 2 doors before that, he's kind of just going to open it. And it's a thinner door than the others. Sorry, it's not much, but I'm sure this will do you for just fine.
You've been most hospitable. This is wonderful. Thank you.
It's got a little bed. It's got some straw mattress. Got some sheets above it. Got a little desk off to the side and a small little chest of drawers. It's a nice little room. You kind of see that this whole place is a little higher class than what you've been experiencing lately. And even for this town, this is one of the nicer inns. William's kind of just going to look you over like, check some of the drawers. This was my son's room. And he's going to hesitate. feel free to go to the dresser. If anything fits, fantastic. If it doesn't, the missus might be able to take care of it for you. But stay here. Let me know if you need anything. I'll bring you by some food here in a bit. And he's kind of excuse himself a little bit and shut the door a little hastily. It kind of not quite what you were expecting, but after they mentioned that it was the son's room, you can kind of see his demeanor changed a little bit.
Yeah, so I definitely take note of that. And I'm alone in the room after he shuts the door, right?
Correct, yeah. You got a little window above the bed, kind of leading outside, and you can kind of only see like the next building next to you. Not the greatest view.
Sure. Yeah, after he closes the door, the smile that was on my face, like, being courteous and gracious, drops, and I kind of just toss my staff onto the bed and sit on the edge of it and hang my head in my hands for a little bit, thinking about what happened a couple weeks ago, running away again, sort of reliving all those memories over and over. But eventually, I might snap out of it and put on some new clothes.
And there are some nicer clothes. The drawers are well organized. You can kind of tell that definitely a mother's touch to this kind of thing. Everything is very well organized. Shirts, undergarments, pants, even some socks. You're mainly barefoot, right? Or would you wear some kind of sandal?
I would wear sandals if I had them, but I just
Okay.
haven't had them recently.
He's going, after about maybe an hour, you can hear like a sturdy knock on the door. Goshin!
Yes, come in. And I'm open the door for him.
He's going to bring like a small tray. You can see some breads, a nice stew, and just a glass of water, and like a very small mug. And you can kind of smell the like tin. He's like, got just a little food here, a little drink to reinvigorate you a bit. We've got some traveling clerics in the area that have more or less overstayed their welcome. They're trying to make amends with the town. They've offered to take a look at you if you would like. Free, of course, as a thank you for letting them stay here as long as they have. You can see he's just going into a spiel of, oh dear God, these guys won't leave. They pay, don't get me wrong, but they're in my nicest rooms. And yeah, you can see there's just going to be like a heavy hand. He's going to like sigh. He's going to look you up and down. You did change clothes, right?
Yes.
So you just put on some, whatever is in the dresser?
Mm-hmm. Lighter tones, if I could find them.
There are definitely some like linens, light linens, whites, a few, light greens, if anything. But definitely some lighter clothes you could definitely put on.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'd stick to the white as much as I could.
If you're interested in talking to the clerics, let me know. I'll get them down from their room. They spend their evenings eating in the front hall.
Yes, of course. I would love to see him. This is it's kind of still hurting.
He's just gonna take a step back and, yeah, you looked like you lost a bit of blood. I'm surprised you made it out of the forest as you did. Edward came back a few minutes ago and hope you don't mind. He told me a little bit about how I found you.
No, I don't mind at all. Yeah, it was, it's okay. I survived.
In the end, that's really all that matters.
Nod to that.
Well, here's some food. Eat up. Like I said, if you need anything, let me know and I'll do what I can to help you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll take the plate of food and eat pretty eagerly, I'd imagine. But again, I ignore the cup of alcohol.
Now, it's the nice, fresh baked. It's like little mini loaves. And the stew is a nice, you can kind of smell it's a bit gamey. So it's either like a deer or kind of a sheep base. It's quite delicious. I'm assuming that Goshin's not a vegetarian?
No.
Okay. So yeah, it's a very filling soup. The bread is good. The water tastes fresh, which is good. Some cities, that kind of varies, which is why they more so do the ale than anything else. But it's a nice little meal, and kind of tell by the rustle going out in the front room that it's about lunchtime. So it's now kind of around noon. They're a little busy up front. You hear a little bit of commotion, just, standard rowdiness.
I sort of stir at the rowdiness, then sort of wiping away the breadcrumbs from the side of my mouth, and I'll poke my head out and see if I can see what's going on without being super visible.
Yeah, no, definitely see that out front. You can't quite where you are. You're kind of like almost in the private kind of section. You can kind of see a little bit behind the bar. You see these two, apparently maybe children, kind of at the bar, and you can see that William, his hands like on the side of the bar, a little clenched hard. It's like, go, get on out. It's kind of like the vibe you're getting off of him. And you're gonna see that these hands go up in the air, and then these two small figures just gonna not run, but hurry out of the bar. And you can see things gonna calm down a little bit, and just like
Gotcha.
William's just gonna shake his head and toss, a rag across the bar.
I'll approach. Is everything all right?
Mischief makers, we got some more new blood in town, apparently.
Oh, I sort of say, trying to hide my concern.
Actually, I'm gonna have him roll an insight check real quick. He can kind of tell that the look on your face. You've had a long day. It's a little kind of hard to hide it. No, nothing like that. There's been some issues lately, but this is outside of that.
I visibly relax. Issues, you say? Is it anything I could help with?
Unless there's more of you, I highly doubt it. He's kind of like look around and see. He's like, come back. He's gonna lead you back down the hallway you came from. About 2 weeks ago, there was some disappearances. Not in our city, but our sister city, West Spring, on the other side of the Runic Forest. And he's gonna look at you like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I kind of shrug. Like, I don't know what that means.
Let me back up a bit. You're in East Runewood right now. Our sister city, she's our sister city because she has a similar runic spire at the center of town. West Spring is a nice little town, but it's small. We do a lot of trading with them for produce, livestock, things like that. We're helping each other out. They're on the other side of the runic forest, a very dense, very old forest. We share the rights to a marble quarry about a few hours march south of here, the southern tip of the forest itself. One day, our group came back. Apparently, the crew from West Spring never returned. This went on for a few days. We sent out a couple of search parties, for lack of a better word. They never showed back up either.
Sort of furrow my brow a little bit. It is troubling.
And now, apparently, our quarry crew have run into some kobolds that have now taken over their encampment. He's kind of just shake his head. It's a bad run of luck, I'll say.
It sounds it. I may not look like much, I say, kind of gesturing to my whole 125 pounds of form. But I'm actually quite skilled in hand-to-hand combat. If there was anyone else around that you think might be capable of going with me, I would be happy to assist you with the kobold problem.
Much appreciated. I would check in with Skan. He is a little more backstory just to fill you in. Our city kind of takes pride in that no one person runs the whole shebang. Those that run East Runewood are called the Triad. He's kind of just gonna almost not spit it out, but you can kind of see he has a little bit of disdain for it. Travel Alwyn, he is a mage. He serves House Skan as his bound house. Skan is another member of the Triad. He runs a city guard. Travel Alwyn used to manage the Mages Guild. He's going to make a motion towards the front of the inn, but that got dealt with a few months back. And then there's Vanitha Wraith. She's from Ironclad. Her father kind of runs a district down there. I thought she'd try to make her name up here. popular businesswoman. She's who got us on this whole lot configuration of. He's kind of wave his hands. Hell if I know. But if you want to assist, I would say Scon might be your best bet.
Of course. I shall. Well, maybe I'll see the clerics first and then head towards Scone.
Aye, from what I hear, Scon won't be back till later on tonight. He'll be over at the Major's Hall, but your best chance is to hit him up first thing in the morning. They convene council at first light at the Runic Keep. And it's any of the town's members can go there, file grievances, or request odds and ends. But come on, I'll introduce you to the priests.
Thank you. And yeah, I'll follow him.
He's gonna take you up front, and at this one round table up in the corner of the inn, there's gonna be this guy in just this gorgeous, clean white robe. He's got this little red stole around him, and he's got like a little red facial hair. His head is bald for the most part. Father Brighton! Oh, Mr. Blunt, how might I be of service? He's going to look over behind Blunt and see you. Is this who you were mentioning before? You see Father Bright is going to rise a little bit and kind of hold out his hand towards you.
I extend my hand back and, shake his hand. It is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Goshin.
Pleasure, Goshin. Let's go up to my room and we'll see what we can do for you.
I nod and let him take the lead.
William is kind of hold his hand up in the air, kind of wave you off a little bit and go back to behind the bar. Father Brighton's going to take you up the set of staircases to the second floor. And you can see that taking the first right out of this stairwell, and it is to the rooms on the balcony. And this is a gorgeous set of rooms. It takes up the entire length of the balcony. So like the whole front end of the second floor is nothing but one single suite. You can see there's robes and garments out for maybe a couple other traveling priests, but they have beds set up everywhere. They wanted to all kind of gather. They all wanted to stay together, so they kind of took the biggest room they could and put their money together for the most part. Father Brighton's gonna look you over. Take off your shirt.
I do as I'm told.
Now I'm assuming your shirt kind of covered the brand.
Yeah, I think in sort of my haste, I actually forgot that as Goshin. So I take off the shirt and it's not covered.
Father Brighton's going to turn back around and he's just going to look, and he's just going to, other than that, he's just going to ignore it and just tend to your wounds. He's going to, take off the bandage and kind of just look at it. Oh, dear. All right. And he's just going to get to work. He can get some ointment out and just start, putting it over the cuts and everything, kind of just like tightly do like a pressure wrap, just, bind you back together. It's going to sting like bloody hell.
Yeah, I wince and kind of, do the whole thing.
And then he's going to take his hand and it's just like going to put one hand over each wound. You're just going to feel this warmth sensation. If you weren't so sure, you could feel like it's almost fire. And you're just going to feel like a good deal better. This overall warmth is just going to like flood through you and breathe deeper. You're not hurting from the wounds anymore. Keep the wrappings on for another day. Don't overexert yourself, but you should be good in about another day or so.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate it.
I would say you should get some rest. Lay down. Let the warmth just put you to sleep.
I nod and, do as I'm instructed for the most part. Head back to my room. Lay down.
You're out like a sack of bricks. You're finally on a nice bed after days of being on the road. Not even on the road. I mean, this was a trek through the woods for a good week and a half. So I would guess that you're just completely out. You're going to hear every once in a while, it's just like a creak and a knock, but it's too cozy. You're just too cozy to want to wake up and just kind of sleep through it. The next thing you realize...
For sure.
The next thing you realize is sunlight is coming through what little window you have, and it's the next day. And I think that is a good place to wrap this up. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. Do or Dice is produced weekly for your enjoyment. Show notes, character sheets, and bios can be found at doordicepodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook at Do or Dice Podcast. The Do or Dice Podcast is associated with the Nerdsmith Network. Check out some of the other contributors at nerdsmith.org. Do or Dice is a very new podcast. Please give us a 5-star review in iTunes or wherever you shop for your podcast. Thank you again for your support, and check us out next week. Same dice time, same dice channel.
There was a time when dragons ruled the sky.